I've heard a lot of time-lapse stories, but this one is the one I remember the most. I think you will remember it too, because it is really amazing. This incident happened during the Soviet-Afghan war with a Soviet soldier. Here's his first-person account. It happened in 1985. I was serving under conscription in a hotspot, performing my international duty in Afghanistan, at least so motivated us deputies. Now we will not argue about the justice of war, etc. The point is not about that. That day our platoon was on duty at one of the checkpoints on the southwestern outskirts of Gereshk. This area was relatively quiet at that time, although there was a Dushman enclave in Bost, 30 kilometers away, but they were afraid to advance towards Gereshk. All their efforts were directed towards Kandahar. Full-scale fighting in this direction also happened. That day we were ready for the fact that the actions could intensify at any moment. Literally in the afternoon we neutralized several snipers, harbingers of hostilities. Toward evening, when the sun had not yet disappeared and the fog from the mountainside began to thicken in the lowlands, we were hit with rocket-propelled grenades and machine guns. Waiting for reinforcements, we regrouped and began to shoot back. According to our estimates, we were confronted by 200 to 300 Dushmans, and then from the opposite side, from the lowland, and by the sound of unfamiliar weapons, we heard machine gun bursts and machine gun bursts. They were shooting at us. After a few minutes of fighting, the Dushmans apparently ran out of ammunition and ran squatting, hiding in the bushes. The attack failed, and now we peeked out from behind the concrete blocks to see what else was out there. Who's shooting at us from the other side? Believing it was our reinforcements, my comrade Sergeant Bobrov rushed to meet them and immediately fell, killed by a bullet. We were almost out of ammunition, so I ducked down and decided to take stock of the situation. It was difficult to see against the evening sun, but they were not Dushmans. You can recognize them immediately by their silhouettes, turbans on their heads, skirts, and beards. And these others were similar to our guys: baggy pants, uniform, helmet, field bag, the same way a Soviet soldier looked. Against the sun, neither the color of uniforms nor faces could be seen. But the weapon, I swear, the silhouette of the legendary MP-40 I recognized. We lay low and didn't know what to do. Shoot? What if they're our own? What if Americans or NATO? But can they be armed with an MP-40? No way. Maybe it looks like an MP-40. I looked out again. No, it didn't look like that. They were 60-80 people. It was hard to say, maybe from fear in my eyes double. There were 100 meters to our shelter, and they were going to finish us off. I had only 10 rounds of ammunition and a couple of grenades left, and I could already hear German speech, which could not be confused with any other. When they stopped 40 meters from cover, their commander started shouting something, apparently offering us to surrender. Then I was really scared, as I had never been scared during the whole campaign. It is one thing to confront crazy mujahideen, yesterday's peasants, many of whom can't shoot with a machine gun, only scatter, who are far from military science. It is quite another thing to fight with 2-meter-tall big men, well-armed, maybe even NATO soldiers, but from behind the turn showed the beams of headlights. To us from the garrison moved reinforcements, our guys on armored personnel carriers. And then there was a firefight for half an hour, and when it got dark, the battle was over. When the last shot from the German side died down, in the light of searchlights the chase began for the 2 men who had dropped their weapons and ran away. Looking at the corpses, I was dumbfounded, because the enemies were dressed in Nazi uniforms of the beginning of the Second World War. When we caught up with the fugitives, KGB officers had already arrived, and the deputy commander had arrived. We, conscripts, were dispersed, and the place of battle was cordoned off. A few days later I was discharged from the army, ostensibly for health reasons, bypassing many formal procedures, and then sent on distribution to the Far East. The guys I served with were distributed all over the country, and before demobilization the commander of the unit asked me to keep my mouth shut. But many years have passed, so I think I can tell you about it.